There you go, live.
It's on here yet. What's that? I said nobody's watching this yet.
Shouldn't tell me you had some technical difficulty. We got it. So we'll get a little pop-up screen like we did before, right there at the bottom, and just we'll hit accept as soon as there is.
Okay.
Hey, Mary.
Hi.
All right. I think we've resolved our technical difficulties. But, you know, without any technical difficulties, we wouldn't be making lemonade, would we? But anyway, I'm going to have you, Mary, since I'm not sure what people saw and didn't see, I'm going to ask you, if you would, to reintroduce yourself and go through your extensive qualifications. But before I do that, I just want to tell everybody again why we're here. We're partnering with TMH here, and we have Mary Marotta with us. She's the Director of Social Services at TMH, and we're going to be talking a lot today about mental health and the importance of mental health. But before we dive into that, Mary, if you would introduce yourself.
Well, come back on, Mary.
Hopefully we can get Mary back. Get Mary back here.
Yeah. This is live after all.
Yes, it is. Live during COVID times, all right?
I'm sure they're trying to log back in with us.
We appreciate everyone bearing with us, all right?
Looks like we lost Mary, so we're going to have TMH join back in. There we go.
There we go. Tell us.
All right. Should be here any second.
All right, Mary, welcome back aboard. We're really ready to talk to you, Mary. All right, let's hopefully our respective internets stay on here. Okay, so Mary, I think what I was going to ask you to do, if you would, don't mind, could you reintroduce yourself and tell us about your qualifications and you know, about what you do in your profession?
Okay, I'm Mary Marotta, and I'm the Director of Social Services at the Behavioral Health Center at TMH. We're the mental health component of Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. I've been here in Tallahassee for about 21 years. Prior to that, I was in Fort Myers. I've worked for the state of Florida for 30 years. And
All right. We lost Mary here. Our internet's cutting out.
Yeah, I think there might be some internet issues. I think they said that they were in a different kind of building that they're normally not in. So
Just keep working through it.
we'll just keep working through it.
Okay. By the way, if anybody who's watching, if you have any specific questions you want us to ask of Mary, please feel free to type those in the comments, and we'll try to get to them. They're popping up on our screen, so I'll try to read them. You know, if there's anything on your mind specifically that you want us to address, we will. And we also have some more, I guess, general topics that we're going to discuss with Mary when we get her up and running.
Yeah, so what's great is that you guys can see the live
Yeah.
stream of questions and comments, so that's awesome.
All right, wait, Glenn, why don't you talk a little bit about why we wanted to do this and partner with TMH and have Mary on?
Sure. Well, I mean, we see in our practice all the time people that have been involved in accidents and the stressors that can come from that, right? You're out of work, you're pain, you have medical procedures,
Loss income.
it impacts your whole family. You don't have a vehicle, all that kind of stuff. And so Mary's going to help us talk about coping mechanisms and things you can use to get through the stressors. And all of that's just been exacerbated by COVID, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
valuable information that we
pandemic,
want her to share with everyone here. I think we got to pop it in here. All right. Mary, we see the screen split there. Now we see you. All right.
Mary, can you hear us? The connectivity is limited.
Yeah, Morgan, if you can hear us, it looks like your internet is a little choppy over there. You might want to try connecting to like a personal hotspot or something. Because right now we've got a frozen screen and just kind of, you guys are in and out. Do you guys want to go over some of the questions that you'll ask her?
Well, I mean, I do want to say, like, because I know we're having some technical difficulties here. We hope that everyone can remain tuned in and join us for this live discussion. That's our intent. That's our goal. But this will be, Megan, posted to our Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it will be there for ever or in perpetuity. So if for some reason, because of these delays getting started, you can't remain involved with the discussion, and you're still interested and want to see it in its entirety, we will post it there. But we are very anxious to get Mary on, and we want to talk about this very important topic.
Why don't we take a break here? And is that what we should do, Megan? Or do you want to give them another chance to try?
Let's just give a couple minutes, and I'm sure they'll join. If you guys want to talk a little bit more about what you were talking about, why we even decided to partner with TMH. I think that's a nice.
Sure. Well, I'm excited to hear her talk about routines and how being out of your routine can really impact your mental health. Again, it goes back to people that have been injured. They're not able to do the things that they were doing before. I see it with it.
I want to understand, like, you can never understand your clients enough, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
Even after handling thousands of personal injury cases and, seeing the devastation and mental anguish and, just how awful some of these experiences can be, when you lose a loved one, for example. I mean, like the wrongful death cases we've handled, and or a child or a parent or something like that, to understand the grief and to be able to help, not just help prosecute that claim, but to understand, what our clients are going through. I think it's very important. And
treatment options.
Right. I mean, attorneys are called counselors for a reason too. I want to be able to listen to our clients and offer guidance as best I can. It's our staff's experience that we've experienced it. It can be very stressful for people, and we hear it in their voices and things when we take calls.
Yeah, sure. Good point. Hey, Mary. All right, I see you relocated here.
All right.
That's
All right, Mary, I think where we left off, you were discussing essentially your very qualified resume. And I don't know if you had gotten through what you wanted to get through, but if not, can you pick up where you left off?
I don't remember where I left off.
All right.
I think I probably did complete everything. I've been at TMH for about 20 years. I worked for the state for 30 years. I've had a mental health private practice. I also do outpatient therapy here at the behavioral health, and I graduated from Barry University with a master's in social work. I've been licensed for about 25 years.
Excellent. And what do you do at the Behavioral Health Center?
I'm the director of social services at the behavioral health.
Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, let's dive right in if we can. We've kept people waiting, so I want to give them some of your expertise. Just to jump right in, Mary, can you just tell us, why it's so important for the community to devote resources to mental health, to help persons who may be struggling in some capacity with their mental health, just why it is so important. Take it.
Well, it's important that everyone understand mental health, because not only does mental health affect the person that's experiencing it, their families, their loved ones, their friends, but it affects the community as a whole. It affects your work status, it affects education, it affects social, situations. So in other words, everyone needs to understand that mental health is not a stigma. It's not something that needs to be ignored. It needs to be embraced, and public needs to be educated about it.
Sure.
Right. So, mental health issues can manifest themselves, as you said, socially or behaviorally. Can you give us a little bit more insight about some of the things you routinely deal with?
Well, here at the hospital, we routinely deal with people that come to us for help with depression, anxiety, problems that they're experiencing in their personal relationships, at work, within their social components, such as friendships, things that have impacted their life in a negative way. Anything that impacts your life in a negative manner will manifest itself into a problem of some sort.
Why do you think that there is such a stigma associated with mental health disorders versus, someone who has a fractured femur? We understand that's a problem and that needs to be fixed, and there needs to be medical care. But someone who's struggling maybe with severe depression, it's harder for the rest of us in the community or whatever to understand it and to help address it.
I think usually there's been a stigma associated with mental health because of the fear of the unknown. And you see a change in people's behavior normally when there's a mental health issue, and people don't understand it, so they don't know how to deal with it. And that's true for families, that's true for work environments, that's true for any type of social communication that you would be involved in. If it's something that you don't understand and you don't have knowledge about it, usually there is a fear factor associated with it where you don't know how to address it.
Well, that's a good point. And it's not something that's oftentimes outwardly visible. Like if I have a broken arm and I have a cast, and I had an injury, but it's not, you can't see lots of times some of the mental health issues, right? When you look at someone.
We know where it's coming from.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I know that having a routine can be helpful to combat mental health issues. Robert and I both have children. We know that if you establish that routine, it helps them, know how to thrive, be in that environment. Have you seen with COVID upsetting people's routines, whether it be work, school, anything like that? Have you seen a greater number of cases that you may attribute to that?
I think that we are seeing an increase in the number of people that are experiencing mental health issues, and I think primarily it's associated with isolation. So often our norm is to be out socially, whether it's going out with friends or it's going to work every day. We establish routines in our regular lives. And since COVID, our routines have changed in most circumstances. If you're not primarily in the type of work or environment where you are able to be out, such as school, such as healthcare industries, then most people have been asked to stay at home. And most people have been compliant with that. So in the situation such as families, you have more family time now. And some people have adjusted very well to that, others have not. Kids that are going to school every day, that are used to being out in school settings, educational settings, and also interacting with their friends, have now been told that they have to stay at home and do their education from a home setting. They're not able to go out freely like they used to with their friends. And it's had a great impact on the teenage population we're seeing and also on the adult population.
Mary, I got a two-part follow-up. So staying with the pandemic, people who have diagnosed mental health disorders or issues, or maybe just, you're the depression, you're run-of-the-mill depression that people battle. The first part of the question is, what would you recommend to those people? And then the second part of the question is, if you're a family member or a close friend of someone who has depression or some sort of mental health disorder that's been exacerbated by the pandemic and the isolation, what would you tell those people to do to help?
Well, personal care is very important, and recognizing that you need that personal care is more important. When you talk about the second part of that question, let me go back to the second part about family observing some type of behavioral change. Sometimes they might observe it before the individual is even realizing that they're experiencing a change. So it's important to have that kind of personal relationship with someone that you can sit down and you can talk with them about things that you're observing, things that you're seeing, and maybe suggesting that they talk to someone else if they can't talk to them about it. Having someone that you can reach out to, whether it's a friend, whether it's someone in the professional field that you feel comfortable, such as reaching out to your doctor and asking for a referral of some kind. Some people are already involved in therapy and making an appointment to go see someone. Sometimes they just feel comfortable talking to a friend, or if they're in a religious area, that they can talk to their pastor or their rabbi and get suggestions of what might be helpful. Also, suggesting personal care when it comes to taking care of yourself, doing things that make you happy, that make you feel calm and relaxed, such as if you're held at home where you can't go out, reading, watching TV. Meditation is very important, relaxation exercises. There's lots of opportunities now through social media to link in with different types of relaxation and meditation. There's an app out there called Calm, that's CALM, that's very popular now with people, and there are hundreds of different programs within that app that you can adjust to and find what's right for you. Also
on TV where it's just a 30-second of calm music. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the most important component is exercise. And I'm a big supporter of anyone doing any kind of exercise that you are helpful with, that helps you. And as an example, when people think of exercise, they think of going to the gym, they think of working out. A lot of that opportunity is not available anymore, but there's lots of other ways to exercise. We live in a beautiful community. The weather is normally very good here. Getting out and walking is probably one of the best exercises that you can do for yourself. But if you're not comfortable with that, anything, swimming, going to the gym, working out with weights, anything that elevates your heart rate, and it's just very healthy for you and you feel much better. We have something in our system called endorphins, and when you increase endorphins, you increase what's called pleasure, and you start feeling better about yourself. So there's lots of opportunities, but the key is to find what works for you and not what someone else is telling you should work for you.
Before we leave the pandemic, I don't, if this drifts outside your expertise, just let us know. But we've got two types of almost debilitating fear that we've observed. You've got people that are just scared to death of contracting COVID, which is a very reasonable fear, and then you've got people, now that these vaccines are starting to roll out, that are very scared to take those. How would you advise someone to approach those fears?
Well, I think that's a very good point, because we hear the same thing here at the hospital, not only from patients, but also from people in the healthcare industry that work here. Very much real that people are afraid. Some people are afraid to take the vaccine because they maybe have received misinformation. And my suggestion is to please listen to the authorities and listen to research. Research is something that it's scientific and it is accurate. So again, not listen to what your friends may say or what you may be reading in the media so much as to really listen to what the authorities are telling you about the vaccines. As far as contracting COVID, absolutely that's a fear. But then again, we have to be responsible for ourselves and for others. And we, again, have to listen to the authorities. We need to be wearing a mask right now until we know that the pandemic is at a point where it can be managed without having to do that. And we need to be very careful about where we go and who we're around. That's more of a personal opinion. But again, if you listen to the authorities and you listen to what they are telling us, I think it's socially something that we need to be responsible for.
Okay. Mary, question for you. Some people they're going to say, I know I need to go get treatment. I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. How is mental health treatment? Is it typically paid for by health insurance companies?
Typically, yes, depending on your health care and what your needs are. But remember that there is no hospital that's going to turn someone away that needs treatment. So we would certainly encourage everyone that feels that they need treatment to seek it and then worry about what's going to happen with the payment later on. We certainly would never turn someone away that is in need, that couldn't.
Along those lines, Mary, is if someone hasn't sought professional guidance before from a therapist or a social worker, and they want to speak to somebody, but they don't want to do it alone, is it possible that they can bring a spouse or a close friend with them to a therapy session, or does that violate any norm?
Well, first of all, if you were coming to the hospital, you could come with someone anyways, and you'd be processed either through the ER or through our direct admissions office. And as long as you approve of the person that's with you, you can sign releases of information that will allow a person to be treated and convey that information to whoever you deemed appropriate for that. As far as going into therapy, normally when you're in therapy, you're there alone. But again, you can sign releases and you could engage your partner or your friend in a conversation. You wouldn't be bringing that person to every single session, but certainly you could share that information as long as it was confidentially approved.
Okay, and I'm sure you've seen that that's helped some people get over at least the initial worry or fear associated with seeking professional help.
Absolutely.
And to piggyback on that, if I'm someone who's having mental health issues, but I'm trying to determine whether or not these are ones that I can manage or these are ones I need to get professional help, what are some signs that I should be looking to get professional help?
I think it's very important that if someone gets depressed to the point where they don't want to live any longer, or they're thinking that they don't want to live, or they're thinking that their life is not worthwhile and they'd be better off dead rather than continuing to reside with these types of feelings, it's very important that you tell someone, you call 911, or you come to a facility that can help you.
Okay. Are there avenues that if someone observes those types of behaviors or those types of, a loved one vocalize those types of things, is there something that they can do, that person can do to help that person, immediately?
Well, if you're
First, in addition to calling 911 or whatnot?
If someone is experiencing that type of an issue where they're expressing to you personally that they wish that they were dead, or that they wish they weren't here any longer, that they're thinking about hurting themselves or they have hurt themselves, I think that you as a professional has a responsibility to encourage them to get the help right away, to call 911, to be assessed. It's, we all have a responsibility as professionals to make sure that if someone tells us something like that, we're going to get them the help that they need.
Right. Okay.
Mary, one of the part of our practice, I think probably the saddest thing that we see is when somebody loses someone unexpectedly, especially the times where we've seen it happen when somebody loses a child like that. What is the best course of action for somebody who has that happen?
Sudden trauma, mental health,
to try to help deal with that.
I think that it's very important that anyone that has experienced a tragic loss in their family or with a friend, any type of trauma, that they seek help themselves. We have what's called grief counseling, and there are different facilities, agencies, professionals in the community, as well as here at the behavioral health, that can certainly help people deal with those types of issues.
Okay. Is there, personally, like when we interact with people who are all the time who have either gone through a personal trauma, maybe they've suffered a serious injury and they can't do the exercising and things that they were used to doing, or as Clint said, maybe they've lost suddenly a loved one. Is there a time period that is associated with that grief, or how does it, in your experience, how does it improve over time, or does it, how do you go about, offering hope to those people that are dealing with such tragedy?
Well, everyone experiences grief differently, and everyone heals from a tragic loss of some kind or a tragic experience differently. We see people that never heal from it, and then we see people that do very well in a short amount of time. I think a lot of it depends on the individual, how willing they are to work on those issues, understand why they're feeling the way they are. It's very important to seek help quickly. If you're experiencing sleeplessness, depression to the point where you're crying every day, where you can't function normally, where you're unable to attend to your activities of daily living, such as going to work, going to school. There are many ways that we can help with that. And it's not just medication related, but sometimes medication is needed to help someone in that type of situation. You don't necessarily need long-term therapy. You just need support. You need someone that understands what you're going through, noting that it's empathy, and that they can help you work through that process.
Okay. And Mary, I think a lot of people know about HIPAA, but in case we've got viewers watching who's saying, I really think I need to go get some help, but I sure would hate for my employer to find out about it, or some other person, what would you tell that person?
Well, it's confidential if you come and you get help, and we are protected by HIPAA laws. We don't encourage people that they have to tell their employers. It's an individual decision that we help assist them make. We certainly offer to be with them if they do want to contact their employer while they're in a private session or at the hospital, but they don't have to do that if they don't want to.
Okay.
I guess, just as kind of a final question is, I go back a little bit to what I was just asking about as far as hope. Can you guys conclude maybe with some words of wisdom that the people that may be battling some mental health issues or have loved ones or close friends that are, what can we do as a community? What do you do every day, and what can we do to help provide that hope?
Well, one of the things I think that's very important to talk about when you talk about hope and mental illness is mental illness is a disease just like any other disease. And you referred in the beginning to someone having a fractured arm. Well, sometimes we have a fractured heart or in a fractured emotional state that they're going through a tough time. There's always hope that there's a resolution.
Mary, I think our volume cut out there, if you can hear me. Okay. Well, that was some great information we got from Mary there. If anybody would like to follow up the Tallahassee Behavioral Health Center, you can call and
not gonna find anyone more qualified.
Yeah, not gonna find any more qualified. They have a website as well. I was going to ask her about. You can go to TMH.
We'll link it.
To Behavioral Health Center and link that in
the Calm app that was referenced. We'll put a link into that in the post to that app. And if there's anybody's watching, put in your comments if you have any recommendations that people who also are watching this may enjoy seeing. Please post those. It's a very important topic. One that deserves more attention probably than it gets. Yeah. We all understand maybe physical issues and trauma, but we see mental anguish every day in our practice. So something absolutely. We wanted to address. I think we're going to get Mary back in. There she is. Mary, you cut out. You were delivering some parting words of wisdom, and we want to give you the opportunity to finish saying what you were saying or repeat what you were finishing up with.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
It's okay. We lost volume with you there for a second. Probably like the last 30 seconds of what you were talking about. If you remember and can articulate that again for us. We were talking, about, you said sometimes people have a fractured heart. and it's important to address that as well.
It's very important that people understand not only the individual themselves, but the community as a whole, that mental illness is a disease, just like a physical illness. It can be cured.
And it looks like they're having some technical difficulties there. But what we're going to do is link everything that we've talked about today.
Yeah, we're not opposed to get, having another session, talk or another live to talk to Mary about these topics if there's continued interest, and there's no reason we can't do it again in the future. So use this as a jumping off point. If there's any other specific things y'all want us to address, we're happy to try to get Mary back on and do it again. They're doing a fantastic job over at TMH, and I enjoyed hearing what she had to say there.
They had very beneficial information. And here's Mary. Let's try it one more time.
Hey, it goes with the theme. We're being dealt some lemons here.
That's right.
Of it.
Lemon.
Mary, I guess to conclude, if viewers are looking to find out more information about the services that you offer at the Behavioral Health Clinic, where can they go to find that information?
We're located at 1616 Physicians Drive. That's Tallahassee 323. We're right behind the hospital, behind the main TMH hospital. Also, tmh.org/mental health. Or you can call our main number at 850-431-5100 and just ask for either our direct admissions or someone to talk to about issues that they may be experiencing.
Okay.
Mary, thank you so much for your time today. I guess we lost her one more time, but she's an outstanding person and very generous to give us her time. And like I said, I hope we can do another one of these lives with her. And continue to address, maybe get a little bit more, delve a little bit more deeper into these topics.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Well,
thank you for watching.
For tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.